Thanks for checking out this web extra from my conversation with Rock Island Mayor Mike Thoms. We ran out of time on For the Record to bring you all of our conversation. We stay focused on gun violence and specifically prevention from a law enforcement perspective. All right, we've got this web extra now with Rock Island Mayor Mike Thoms. You mentioned the city wants to hire more police officers earlier in our discussion. People aren't applying was a big problem. Starting salary is about $60,000 a year. Does that need to be higher? Is it worth it to pay more if it means being able to fill those jobs?
Oh, it definitely is worth it to pay more if it'll fill them. We are seeing departments that are offering more still having troubles. Part of it is
maybe that's still even too low, right?
It could be.
I mean, it has to be.
It could be
a really lucrative profession. It's a dangerous job.
It is a dangerous job. Now, there are other long-term benefits for the police officers that are advantaged.
We talk about pensions and health benefits and those sorts of things.
The age of retirement, the number of years for investment, and the pensions are pretty good, and those sort of things. So there's that side of it also. So there's incentive long-term.
You're trying to get a younger officer, a rookie officer who's maybe fresh out of high school or college, who've gone through the academy, which is a big investment from the city too, from almost $50,000 to put someone through that. You may or may not get a successful candidate.
That's correct. But we need to, I think, with this change some of the laws we have. That the pressure that's been put on police officers. They talk about the Rick Floyd situation or others, and they're looking in a microscope some of these cases. And there are some bad police officers in situations that happen, but a majority of them are not. And we can't be changing all these laws to give criminals more ability, once again I'm drawing, I apologize, rights than the victims. And so that's where we need to, I think, work on sending a message that there is going to be a penalty for the crime, and it's got to be a stiff enough one to deter them. So I think that's scared away some officers from wanting to work in Illinois. Along with the people getting on parole, they're getting, once again, the courts are backed up, and pandemic related. And so instead of keeping them incarcerated, we sit there saying, okay, you go, whether bond or no cash bond, you go and come back to court in a year from now.
Well, they're going to cash bond. There's also that it favors the wealthy and not the poor. That's the argument.
And that's correct, and it does. And I can't argue that fact of it, but it still is causing some problems. And it hasn't even kicked in yet. That's in January 1, I believe. But the situation still becomes is that most, if not all, of our crimes are second offenders, or if not more.
And it's also happening in more predominant sections of the city than others, too. Is that correct? It's like you can pretty much isolate where the higher.
For the most part, we can. There's they're not random shootings, but there's every so often it ends up outside that given area. But there is no doubt that there is geographic areas that is consistently happening.
You talked about adding more patrols. Are you able to do that considering your current staffing?
Not very easily. We are adjusting schedules. Looking at consistently the time of days that things happen, the days that they happen, and everything else, and shifting schedules around to that. And so that's another thing we have changed recently to help shore that up in those given areas. But stolen cars is another problem, and the thieves don't, and the criminals don't have a sense for borders, and so they steal a car in Iowa and come over here.
You have to have cooperation with Davenport, Bettendorf, Rock Island, Moline, and East.
That's correct. That's correct. So go ahead.
Even let's say you had more officers, I guess all of them can't be everywhere all the time, and obviously right now you're even constrained. Some cameras I know are being used in some neighborhoods. I guess, and maybe you're doing this, I don't know. I'm just questioning. What about the idea of using drones that can be done remote controlled and hover over some of these troubled neighborhoods for longer periods of time, and maybe being able to see what's going on there in some monitoring systems?
Great idea, and I'm not aware of Rock Island doing it.
I know some departments across the country are using that, but I've heard it's an investment as well.
It is an investment, but could be a good spent investment. And I'm not aware of anybody in the Quad Cities. At least I've not heard anybody in the Quad Cities doing that. The cameras have been growing in popularity. We've got a lot of cameras out there. All the cities have been putting out. We've got license plate readers out there, which has really helped, believe it or not, tracking people down. So that's been very helpful. And some of these crimes are going to happen even if a police officer is 1 block away. So just having more bodies out there does not stop these crimes from happening. It helps deter some, but most of them are going to happen one way or the other. We got to get to the root of it, and
But maybe if you have the officers closer, more of them, you might be able to catch them as well. Because right now, some of these cases are still open. That's also a problem, right?
That is correct.
A faster response, you might be able to get closer to the people who are getting away.
That's correct. That's correct. We need to get them resolved. And so the cameras or drones and that sort of thing might be able to catch them quicker. I know of a case, I was just talking to a gentleman in Bettendorf, and they've got license plate cameras in all of their entrances and exits to the city, and that helped solve a case there relatively quick. So that's very helpful. But the biggest one is, and I hate to keep repeating it, is community involvement. And that's another thing that the state's attorney mentioned the other day is now we're starting to, or they are starting to charge put criminal charges on people that lie to them as witnesses or victims. And trying to put that pressure on is kind of like, no, we need your involvement. You know, we had a victim that was bleeding from the chest and still denied that he was bleeding. You know, it was kind of like, no, I don't know what happened. We were shot. No, I'm not. And so it's those type of things that we people get scared for and clam up for different reasons. I understand that, but we can solve these a lot faster, or it's totally, if we have cooperation from the community.
Absolutely. You need people to work together on a problem like this, no doubt about it. Rock Island Mayor Mike Thoms, thanks for the discussion. Good luck with everything in the city.
Thank you very much.